My name is Haley Comet and welcome to my cosmic corner of the internet where we discuss all things astrology, and today all things Jupiter in Taurus 2023 to 2024 and you. What blessings, luck, and abundance this transit will give you and your chart, as well as what we can expect collectively with this shift of Jupiter entering the grounded, steady, sensual terrain of Taurus. Whenever we consider Jupiter, the planet of luck and abundance, ingressing into new signs, I really think of it as the brand of luck that we are able to harness. So with Jupiter in Aries, this was luck that was more so about being bold, about being courageous, about being authentic, about even being raw and messy with its conjunction to Chiron. That shifts with Jupiter entering Taurus. With Jupiter in Aries, it may have been fortune favors the bold. With Jupiter in Taurus, it is fortune favors the steady. Patience is a deeply important virtue to honor and to chisel during this transit, because those blessings that you want are on the other side of intentional, steady action forward. That abundance that you want, that luck that you want, that fortune that you want, it's going to come in a more Taurian way. So it's deeply important to understand how to work with this energy to manifest more blessings within your world, as well as to understand the expansion that it's bringing in your chart for good and for bad. Because Jupiter may be the planet of blessings and abundance and expansion, but it's also the planet of excess. It can be a planet that is quite indulgent. It could be a planet that fills us with hot air without necessarily taking the actions forward. So it's deeply important to understand, even though Jupiter is the grand benefic, it can be a double-edged sword. So I'm glad that you're here getting dialed into this energy so you can both harness the true abundance of Jupiter in Taurus, as well as just being mindful of where it's impacting your chart and how it can lead to some adverse results if you are not being cautious and intentional with the energy. Before we dive into all that Jupiter in Taurus entails, I would love to give a warm, heartfelt thank you to Cross Crow Books, who is a sponsor of this video and made this Jupiter in Taurus forecast possible. And I would love to chat with you about two texts that I deeply recommend you add to your bookshelf that they have published this year. So the first being Your Star Sign by Per Hendrik Golvas. So if you, like me, really enjoyed Per's first book, which was the complete book of spiritual astrology, I deeply recommend purchasing this one as well. Something about the way that Per writes just really gels with my brain. I love the kind of poetic language. And when it comes to your star sign, it is a deep dive into the signs, the archetypes, the history, everything that you need to know. For that reason, I would recommend it for beginners. The language is incredibly accessible. It's not limiting. That's kind of a pet peeve of mine when I read books around the signs, is when you can tell like the astrologers have a personal beef with your sign. You're like, why do you hate me? I swear we have some redeeming qualities. I didn't feel that at all with Per's book, and I read through every single chapter. Like truly both the amazing, magical, powerful aspects of each sign was really cheerleaded and championed, as well as the potential detrimental negative effects were also highlighted. So this is a text that would be an asset in any astrology beginner's bookshelf, but I would even highlight, even if you were an advanced astrologer, I would recommend getting this book. Like, I have been studying astrology for 10 years and there were still pieces within this book that I was not aware of. And it really helped widen my perspective on some of these signs simply because of the way Per communicates, simply because of the way that he writes. And if you're not familiar with Per Hendrik Golvas, he is a deeply respected astrologer in Norway who just has this really spiritual, poetic, beautiful way of chatting through this art of interpretation that just deeply resonates with me. So if you are someone who resonates with that line of work and has been craving a deeper dive into the signs, the archetypes, all of the pieces, I deeply recommend purchasing Your Star Sign by Per Hendrik Golvas, published by Cross Crow Books. And the other text that I would deeply recommend checking out from Cross Crow Books is Star Magic by Sandra Kynes. The timing of when I read this book was so synchronistic and so divine. point, and I didn't even logically put it together, but I happened to get my hands on this book right before a trip that I had planned to Occidental, California, which is like the mountains in NorCal. I live in San Diego, so where it is that I live, obviously there's a lot of light, there's a lot of activity, so I'm really not able to stargaze all that often. I can hardly really see, but I didn't realize that Occidental is such an amazing place for stargazing. Like, it's a dark sky community, I believe, because my goodness, I saw so many stars, and because I just read this book, I had this deeper appreciation for the stargazing that I was able to do while I was immersed in nature. So much of my astrology is books and conversations, and it's actually very important, and I've decided it's a new rule of mine that I need to go immerse myself in nature and go stargazing at least twice a year. Just reconnect with where it is that we pull this information. We don't pull it out of nowhere, right? And reorienting myself to the night sky and to the magic of where it is that we pull this information is so helpful for me to really reconnect to the big picture of astrology. So in addition to just kind of like reigniting that love within me of stargazing and remembering where it is that astrology is derived from, I loved the tips that Sandra shared on stargazing and really the deeply spiritual approach that she adds to the craft. Like, she has these ways, as the name would imply, ways of really doing magic with the stars, chants and affirmations that you can use as you work with the night sky to sort of harness the energy of each of these constellations. It was incredible. I particularly liked the Chiron little chant. I loved the Leo chant. Everything that she writes about the signs are so powerful. And I've never contemplated like literally working with the night sky. Normally I just kind of stare in awe, but it was so powerful to kind of like harness and just reconnect with the roots of where the study comes from. I found it an incredible resource. I loved the history that she added of stargazing. I love that she made sure to kind of like highlight the differences between where the constellations are now versus where it's derived from. A lot of times when you read like books on astronomy, they don't necessarily do the research. They're like, yeah, astrology must be fake because the constellations aren't even where they say they are. And I love that Sandra particularly highlighted like, hey, astrologers now use where the constellations were, right, thousands of years ago. Due to the ecliptic, things have shifted. So this is the context that we'll give for this book based on like literally where the constellations are now when you look up at the sky, as well as this is where astrologers pull their pieces of information. I found that incredible. So thank you so much, Cross Crow Books, for sponsoring this video. I deeply recommend checking out Your Star Sign by Per Hendrik Golbos, as well as Star Magic by Sandra Kynes. I'll link both within the description. I am so grateful for your continued partnership, Cross Crow Books, and I just love sharing the books that are expanding my brain, expanding my practice, and I hope you all can find them as inspiring and empowering as I did. So thank you again. Now let's get into our Jupiter and Taurus forecast. So Jupiter will transit the fixed Earth sign Taurus from May 16th, 2023 to May 25th, 2024. A great way to understand how this will manifest is to think about the last time it occurred. So the last time Jupiter was in Taurus was June 2011 to June 2012. Think about what was permeating in your life during that time. What opportunities came your way? Where were you extra lucky? There can be a repeat of those core themes as we navigate this transit. And during this time, we can expect an expansion of all things Taurus for better and for worse. Let's firstly talk about how to unlock this Taurian brand of luck, as I was alluding to within the first portion of this video. When we consider Jupiter, typically it performs best in fire and water signs. It rules Sagittarius, it exalts in Cancer, it rules Pisces. So the energy of Jupiter, which is the largest planet in the solar system, right? It doesn't necessarily like earth signs. Earth signs are a little too practical for its taste. You know, Jupiter is about meaning and philosophy and morals, whereas Taurus is around what it is that we can see and touch and taste and smell. So with Jupiter in Taurus, it's deeply important that our philosophy, our sense of meaning is something that is very grounded, something that is very practical and steady. That doesn't mean that it's not necessarily a great fit. Essentially, the word that we ascribe it is that it is peregrine, which means it is not necessarily in a particularly favorable position nor a negative one. Taurus slows down the excitement of Jupiter and Aries. It's like, okay, we had a lot of new ideas, we had a lot of instinct, we had a lot of initiative. Let's ground it down. Manifesting with Jupiter and Aries was like a firework. It was bright, it was sparkly, it was sudden, it was bold, right? Manifesting with Jupiter and Taurus is like planting a seed, because you need to nurture that seed and you need to have patience. You might want that seed to bloom right away, but sometimes it's just not your time. Sometimes it's just not your season. And you actually delay the process every time you need to dig up the seed to be like, have you sprouted yet? And then put it back. You just need to have patience and trust that it is on its way. Now, it's not to say that we shouldn't take action towards it. Taurus is an earth sign. It is deeply practical. So that abundance you want, that luck that you want, that growth that you want, it needs to be grounded down into reality. It needs to be plotted through to ensure, do I have the resources to cultivate this seed, this idea? Am I passionate enough about this idea? Like Jupiter and Aries was about launching things out. Jupiter and Taurus is about sustaining it. And really being able to attune and show up in small ways, in sustainable ways as well, in order to nurture that seed to become the beautiful plant that you want it to be. With Jupiter and Taurus, it is deeply important that when it comes to what it is that we want to invite in, wherever it is that you are craving growth, it's super important that you do not rush the process, okay? And just trusting in the cycles, doing your due diligence, right? You have to go out, you need to water the seed, you need to adjust to the elements, you need to do all these pieces, you need to practically ground it down, but you also need that spiritual virtue of just like having faith, around just having patience, around it will sprout. It will sprout all in due time, all in due time, all in due time. If you are someone who has been deeply waiting, maybe it's a business that you started that you're like, come on, sprout, explode, right? Or maybe it's a relationship that you've been nurturing, understanding that when something happens too fast, it fizzles out. That's the downside of Jupiter and Aries. We could have had all of these ideas, all of this inspiration, but a lot of it may have fizzled out because it was not sustainable. Jupiter and Taurus asks us to really allocate our energy intentionally. If you know a Taurus placement, you know that they're hard workers, but they are also hard nappers. Like, they are individuals who really rest, they luxuriate, they understand that it takes resourcefulness in order to get to the finish line of whatever it is that you want in life. And being resourceful and using your energy sustainably doesn't mean burning yourself out, right? No matter how much you're out in the garden, watering and nurturing and attuning to all the pieces, watering it all at once isn't going to make it grow any faster. That slow, steady, intentional energy of just doing a little bit every day is sort of what's helpful here. As well as it feels like with Jupiter and Aries, it was like all the things. And with Jupiter and Taurus, a lot of us are going to have to get real around what it is that we really want to build. Maybe you're someone where you launched a podcast and you started a business and you had all these things, you're following your instincts. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what you were meant to do while Jupiter's in Aries. Which ones really caught fire to your soul? Because Jupiter and Aries was like, you know, the catching fire, the excitement. But the thing about fireworks is that they fizzle out, right? And with Jupiter and Taurus, it's like, how can we plant that excitement into the ground? How can we nurture those ideas so they can continue to bloom, right? Every single year. That's a beautiful thing about many flowers and plants, is that they're annual because they're sustainable, right? It wasn't like all the enthusiasm and excitement at first and then nothing more. That's why it's important to really narrow our focus. What is it that we want? Out of those Jupiter and Aries initiatives, maybe you tried things. Again, experience is a great way to learn what it is that you like, what it is that you don't like, which is why Jupiter and Aries was the energy around have courage, try it all, notice where your heart is, right? Maybe this is the time where you're like, okay, I tried the podcast, I tried this, I tried that, I tried my art, I tried all of these pieces. Which do I genuinely want to sustain? Which do I genuinely want to work towards every single day? Which do I have the bandwidth to put energy towards every single day? That is what you should nurture during Jupiter and Taurus. Your quintessential big picture yes, your essentially why in this lifetime, your biggest mission, your biggest essentially contribution to this planet, that huge, your biggest vision, your biggest vision, your quintessential mission on this planet, that big, wholehearted yes. And that yes in many ways, that yes from your soul, that yes from the people around you whose lives that you are impacting, that big quintessential mission, right? That yes that I was talking about. The road to that is peppered with a lot of no's, okay? And with Jupiter and Aries, it was more so around getting over our fear around being told no, right? Shooting our shot, putting things out there and still going for it, even if we were told no, like still having courage to try. Whereas Jupiter in Taurus is sort of the other side of the no that you have to utilize in order to get to success. Because you have to say no to a lot of people. I do not have the bandwidth for that. My priorities are elsewhere at this time. Because if you say yes to everything, you're going to spread yourself too thin. It's so important with Jupiter and Taurus that you do a couple things extraordinarily well, with a lot of presence, with a lot of intentionality, rather than trying to be everything to everybody. And with Taurus being the sign of values, there's really this energy around, if I want to grow what it is that I really value at this time, I have to be able to say no to things that I don't. And as magical and amazing as you are not a superhuman. Like, logically, we can only do so much. And Taurus is a beautiful reminder of that, as Taurus is what it is that we can taste, touch, see, and smell. At the end of the day, maybe you don't have the bandwidth to grow this and this and this and this and this. And if you really dove deep, you would see, hey, there's actually something here that I can really see myself going the distance with. So let me put my energy and focus towards that particular arena, right? Let me learn to value my ideas and what it is that I'm growing enough to say no. It's not easy, but with Jupiter and Taurus, it's asking for you to identify what is it that I value and how can I value that so much that I pour my diligence into it and am willing to say no to what other people think I should value. It's hard, but your initiatives, your ideas deserve it. If you have too many plants in the garden, you might not have time to water them all. You might not notice when certain ones are drooping. It's just, you can't be it all to everybody, and you don't have to. With Jupiter in Taurus, the most blessings will come to those who are diligent, who are patient, as well as those who are deeply realistic, right? Like, being realistic about energetically what it is that you can take on, right, is a big piece of it, as well as realistically, what is it going to take to get to where you want to go. As I highlighted, Jupiter doesn't necessarily love being in earth signs. In fact, its fall in one of its detriment planets, so Virgo and Capricorn, those are both earth signs, right? It doesn't necessarily love being there, because the thing about Jupiter is that Jupiter is deeply impractical. Jupiter is about faith. Jupiter is about belief. It's about abundance. It's about self-fulfilling prophecy. It doesn't really want to deal with the facts and the figures and practicality, which is where Taurus deeply thrives, right? And so with Jupiter and Taurus, there can be a bit of a wake-up call when it comes to any sort of false dreams, right? Or pipe dreams or whatever. With Jupiter and Taurus, there might be a little bit of a reality check around, okay, this is what you want. That's what you want to grow, but you haven't practically been doing anything towards it, right? And so with Jupiter and Taurus, there can be a wake-up call on certain things that we've been working on around whether they are realistic, on whether they are sustainable, but also you can utilize this helpfully by just pragmatically breaking down, where is it that I am now, where is it that I'm going, and how can I get to where it is that I want to go at a slow and steady, intentional pace. So whatever big dreams that you have, plans that you have, ground them down into reality. That is where the blessings come. Blessings will come to those who leverage inertia. A body in movement stays in movement. A downside of Jupiter and Taurus is that we can be a little lazy, we can be a little indulgent. We'll talk about that in a moment. The hardest step that you'll take while Jupiter is in Taurus is getting into that routine around showing up consistently. Taurus is a fixed sign. This is steadiness. This is dependability. This is consistency. I do think with Jupiter and Taurus, once you have that routine down, once you are going out to look at your garden, once you are showing up to put out your podcast episodes, once you are showing up to do the work within your relationship, wherever it is that you're craving growth, right? Once you're in a routine, you will be able to leverage inertia that'll just be the pace. It's just like one step at a time, just ensuring that's sustainable, right? It's not like burning yourself out every single day. That's why I'm saying slow and steady actions, doing a little bit every single day while Jupiter's in Taurus, rather than like overwhelming yourself by doing it all at once, is beneficial. Like, it's better to water your plants once a week rather than to douse them in water like once every 6 months when you remember. It takes routine, it takes momentum, and Jupiter in Taurus will help you get there, but the first step might be the hardest, or at least getting yourself in the routine where it's just that slow, like Taurus is the bull, that slow and steady prod forward. And on the topic of value, you are valuable, and your ideas are valuable, and what it is that you want is valuable, and your beliefs are valuable, and blessings will come to those who see their own value. Because to say no means I value myself too much to necessarily sign on to something that I'm not wholeheartedly invested into, right? And with Jupiter and Taurus, blessings come to those who have a strong self-worth and really see their own value and really shine it out. Taurus is not a sign that is flashy. Look at me, look at me. Its actions do the talking. It just kind of shows up with this present groundedness around, I know who I am, I know what I want, and I know what it is that I'm building. Because again, when we don't value ourselves, we can say yes to this person's project and this person's project and building up everybody else's things while leaving ours for essentially like the last place because we don't feel like it's valuable enough. Again, your project is valuable because you see that's value and you nurture it until it's something that is valuable for others. That inherent gaze upon this is valuable and I'm nurturing this because it's valuable needs to be part of it with Jupiter in Taurus. So it's asking us to show up with this really steady, realistic sort of confidence around genuinely just seeing the value within ourselves and knowing that we are so valuable that we deserve to have our manifestations. It doesn't need to be look at me. It doesn't need to be greedy. We'll get into some downsides of Jupiter and Taurus in a moment, but it can just show up with your actions. It can just show up within your healthy confidence that you're putting into around this project is valuable, so I'm pouring into it. Like, I am worth having my manifestations come to reality and allowing that to be baked into what it is that you're working on during this time. Jupiter in Taurus favors simplicity. And when it comes to this transit, it's going to be deeply important to just slow down, to enjoy this chapter. Like with Jupiter in Aries, we could have been rushing so much to get into the next chapter. I just want to jump to being an entrepreneur. I just want to jump to being a mom. I just want to jump to when the kids are in high school. I just want to jump into when my business is successful. I just want to jump to when my project is finally done. That really decreases your life. When you constantly live life stressing and chasing the next chapter without being present, you are literally taking years off your life. Maybe not literally, but you're constantly thinking about just getting through this, just getting through this. And when you're present, you literally slow down time. You literally get more of your life. And when you get to that next chapter, there will be elements of your prior iteration that you will miss. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that when you think about past eras of yours and how much you wanted to get to the next era. You just want to like go back to your past self and be like, enjoy where you are now. Enjoy it, right? Like I remember when I was in school, I could not wait to be working full time. I was like, that's gonna be so great. I won't be broke anymore. I can finally just use all my time to be making money rather than to have to deal with school, right? I just thought once I graduated, that would be it. I would be living. And then when I graduated, I was like, girl, you were rushing to get to this? Like, oh my goodness, like sure, maybe the problems that plagued you in college are gone, but now you can't just hang out with your friends and work at the coffee shop and go to classrooms to learn cool things. I was like, wow, I wish I would have just really been present in that last chapter of my journey rather than rushing to get to the next one. We get more of our life when we slow down. And with Jupiter in Taurus, time and your life is going to feel more languid. It's going to feel more pleasurable and sensual. But we have to slow down and just attune to the simple things, the simple pleasures within this journey. You might be in a season of life that you're not stoked on. You're like, Haley Comet, I'm going through a breakup and there's certain, aspects of my life that I'm not pleased around. There are aspects of your current iteration that you will miss. And the sad thing about life is that you don't know what it is that you have until it's gone. So it's really taking that moment, just look around at this iteration and really just finding that simple gratitude for what is showing up here, as well as just like the simple sensual pleasures of life. delicious foods and beautiful nature and just building a life that is very simple and very beautiful within its simplicity. I think it's truly an art form to witness Taurus placements. I don't understand them at all. I don't have any Taurus placements, but I do have a partner who is a Venus Taurus, so I get to witness him all the time. And for me, it's like I typically judge my days based on how much did I get done, right? And like for him, he really just approaches life through this like really just slow and steady energy. He relaxes, he makes all these delicious meals, he makes every single occurrence, every single meal, every single outing that we have, he just finds ways to elevate it, to make it art, to make it more beautiful, to make it more romantic, right? And when it comes to it, there's just a presence that he brings to every moment. I'm learning from him every single day. But I think with Jupiter in Taurus, we're all going to kind of sink into this languid energy around being like, okay, the world feels like it's falling apart. That won't be going away, right? We need to just enjoy these sensual pleasures, enjoy the simplicity and the bliss that is really imbued within that simplicity. You know, going for a walk can be blissful. Reading a good book can be blissful. There's a lot of bliss to be found within these simple aspects of life. So if you are a Taurus, you are going to be our leaders during this time. I'm constantly learning from him around ways to just give yourself more life by enjoying the little things, right? I'll never forget one time I asked my Venus and Taurus partner, I was like, what do you think our favorite day together has been? Like, what's been your favorite memory of our time together? And he said, do you remember that rainy Sunday when we were on the couch and we were watching movies and you fell asleep in my arms? And I was like, yeah, that was your favorite day? We've gone on trips, we've had adventures, and that was your favorite day, was us just like cuddling on the couch? And he was like, yeah, it was so sweet. And then we had that meal after, do you remember? And we watched those movies and I was just so happy with you. And I was like, wow, that's so beautiful to like find the love and the appreciation within just these little moments, these simple moments. We're constantly bombarded when it comes to social media and all of these things around what other people value, what other people are building, what other people have. And with Jupiter and Taurus, it's really just important to tune into the simplicity of sensual pleasures and being surrounded by beauty and just grounding down into this present iteration, learning and absorbing and immersing where it is that you are now while trusting in where it is that you are going. So even the lovely energy of Taurus does have a shadow side. Let's start with its tendency towards greed. Just as Jupiter in Taurus can designate this beauty found in the simplicity, it can also designate beauty being found in the sparkly. Let's be real. Taurus can be a very bougie, materialistic energy. And with Jupiter in Taurus, there could be this energy for more consumption, more stuff, more brand names, more, which is why I'm saying with Jupiter in Taurus, please ground down into your value system, what it is that you value. Do not get told by social media that you should value designer bags. Do not get told by other people what it is that you should be building, right? Contemplate, what is it that I value, and allow your life to be built as a result of that. Because with Jupiter in Taurus, it'll never be enough. It'll be moritis. As soon as you get the Gucci flats, now you want the designer bag. Or for a lot of us, really, with Jupiter in Taurus, like everything's just getting more expensive. I wish I had better news, but Jupiter in the sign of money, I do think that will be a trend that will continue. I do foresee come 2024, Jupiter will conjoin Uranus. I do see something occurring there around a positive new development as it relates to money, whether it is a digital currency, some sort of financial reform, some sort of stimulus package, something positive around resources. But I do think the steady trend up to that point with Jupiter in Taurus will be more, which I wish I had better news, because I know it's sort of a scary time to be in when everything just feels like it's getting more expensive, because Jupiter is expansiveness, and with the energy in Taurus, there could be that greed, right? Continuing to snowball, continuing to spiral. So whether you are trying to make ends meet or you're trying to like keep up with the Joneses, with Jupiter and Taurus, ground down into what it is that you value, right? Do not get caught up in needing to flex or needing to stunt? What is it that you value? What genuinely does add value to your life? Like if you are someone who's a collector and you're like, the Haley Comet, I collect designer bags, it brings me joy. My love, please feel free. I'm not saying don't buy, right? It helps the economy. There's nothing wrong with it. But just ensure what it is that you're purchasing genuinely reflects what it is that you value, and you're not hoarding, buying all the stuff that you don't need. You're not being greedy, right? You're not being competitive with other people around, look at what I have, look at what I have. Because Jupiter can be a never-ending pit of greed and materialism, not on its own, but with Jupiter in Taurus. And I just want you to be conscious of that during this time. And it's interesting because when I think of Jupiter, I think of like being full of hot air, right? And with Jupiter in Taurus, it's like, I mean, we've seen this with Uranus and Taurus, but I feel like Jupiter in Taurus is going to add on to this, where we're not really seeing the true value of things. Like, how is a carton of eggs $10, right? Like everything's overinflated, and Jupiter in Taurus sort of echoes that. And I think it's going to be hard to really see the true nature of our financial situation because it feels to be very overinflated with Jupiter in Taurus. Like whether it's people trying to tell us that everything's okay, whether it's, you know, stuff going down that's sort of masking unemployment or sort of like masking different arenas of or sort of masking, you know, debt or anything of that nature. Like I just think with Jupiter in Taurus, there's going to be this energy around, oh yeah, everything's fine. We're not getting the full story there, or at least there's a lot of hot air around value. Like I definitely see the overinflation, but I also see something around like whether it's the financial world or something of that nature, just kind of like filling us full of hot air around, look, everything's fine. Look how much we added into the economy, when it's like, wait, that's not actually taking into account the reality of the matter. So when it comes to finances, ensure that where you are investing your money reflects your true values, okay? I'm not saying don't spend money, just make sure spend it on what it is that you value. Ensure your financial plan is thinking long-term, right? Pragmatic, patient, right? I also want to highlight Jupiter conjoins Uranus. And like I said, I see something occurring as it relates to finances, something new, that's Uranus, and Jupiter, something somewhat positive. You know, I don't think all of our financial problems are going to go away right away, but I see something positive, taking it in a new direction, right? Particularly as it relates to finances. But I also want to highlight with Jupiter in Taurus, keep your eyes open, okay? Keep your eyes open for new opportunities that you can make money. Notice how I didn't say get rich quick schemes, okay? No. With Jupiter and Taurus, it might take time, but with it meeting up with Uranus, there are going to be random millionaires. Like there are going to be random millionaires who are leveraging today's technology to their advantage. And I just want you to stay open to those opportunities that you spot. Stay open to trends, stay open to novelty. I wouldn't typically say this just with Taurus energy. I'm saying this because Jupiter does conjoin Uranus throughout its tour through Taurus. It occurs in April 2024. So stay open to ways that you can revolutionize your industry, ways that you can streamline, leverage technology to make things easier on yourself, as well as identify new gaps in the market. Like I'm saying, Jupiter, Uranus, people who grab this are going to become pretty wealthy. I truly do believe that with Jupiter, Uranus, you know, in a ethical way, okay? With Jupiter, Uranus, look for ways to streamline, look what hasn't been done before, because I just see innovative technological developments and advancements. So staying open. It's funny because Jupiter in Taurus is very kind of stubborn on its own, but you know, don't be the person in the 90s who was like, oh, I'm not worried about internet. Like it'll be fine. We don't need to invest in that. Like the rage is all cable or what have you. Like do not be that person who's clinging to the old way of doing things, because the old way of doing things is done. Pluto is entered Aquarius. Jupiter is meeting up with Uranus. There's a newness coming in, and it does feel like it's coming through from our financial sectors, as well as in new ways to make money. So just staying open towards that. And just being patient as it relates to your finances, being pragmatic, try not to react to market corrections very emotionally. With Jupiter and Taurus, slow and steady, pragmatic. Taurus also governs food. As I highlighted, this is a very sensual time. It's a time to enjoy life, even if things feel like it's falling apart. Find simple pleasures, find things to enjoy. I do think with Jupiter in Taurus, I'm at least hopeful that it will be good for the food industry. I know there's been a lot of stuff weird happening with food. With Jupiter in Taurus, there can be an expansion, perhaps packages, funding, something going towards food, something of that nature. But I also think just with it meeting up with Uranus, there can be changes around food. The shadow side of this would be, greed, gluttony, overconsumption, right? Hoarding of resources, hoarding of food. Again, Jupiter is a very benevolent planet, but it has a shadow side, which can be excess. So just being cautious with Jupiter in Taurus, there can be a tilt towards overconsumption of money, of food. And really with Jupiter in Taurus, I'm hopeful that there will be more programs around feeding the population, creating more sustainable ways towards farming, putting more money towards farming. There's been a lot of weird stuff happening with food. Uranus and Taurus, thank you for that. And I just think with Jupiter and Taurus, like prioritizing it. I also see just with Jupiter and Taurus, maybe more people moving out to nature, wanting to live on a farm, things that nature live in a very simple sort of way, or some information coming out around food. Like Jupiter does expand what it goes through. And with Jupiter in Taurus, there can be more conversations or more information revealed around food that ultimately lead to better results. Jupiter in Taurus is subject to some hedonism, indulgence, and laziness. Like I said, Taurus wants to enjoy life, and that's a beautiful thing and something we should all aim to do while Jupiter transits Taurus. But it's also deeply important to contemplate that Jupiter is a very spiritual planet. It governs faith and meaning and spirituality. And with Jupiter in Taurus, Taurus is much more practical. So I do feel that a lot of people are going to put their faith at the hands of capitalism's feet, which is not where you want to put it towards, something to keep your eye on, as well as with Jupiter in Taurus and Saturn in Pisces, also kind of cosigns elements of this. People can be less interested in spirituality. I really do see this massive tempering of spirituality, which is going to reach a head, I believe, with Neptune ingressing into Aries. But I think people are going to really be craving spirituality that enriches their daily life, or things that are more grounded in nature. But with Jupiter in Taurus, other things can be made our God, right? And it's more so sensual pleasures. So going to excess with food, I had highlighted, go to excess with indulgence, as well as Taurus is a very luxurious planet, right? The ruler of Taurus is Venus. And with Jupiter in Taurus, we can find we're more indulgent. We are a little bit more, I don't love this word, but lazy, right? Those dreams, we have to work towards them. We have to be diligent and intentional. And with Jupiter in Taurus, we can find whether it's overconsumption of goods, of food, maybe it's just like overdoing, leisure, dreaming of these things, but not putting action towards it. That can absolutely be a part of it. Or I just feel with Jupiter in Taurus, people could just be like, well, why bother? I'm just going to enjoy the now. There's no point. Jupiter in Taurus does bring blessings, but it does take our practical actions. I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy life. Enjoy life, enjoy the senses. That's what Jupiter in Taurus is all about. But watch the hedonism, watch the overconsumption, right? Ensure that your life is anchored by a strong sense of meaning and benevolence and generosity towards what it is that you want to give towards, because a life purely for the senses is a bit hedonistic. So enjoy your body. We came here to be humans. Enjoy your body, enjoy experiences, but also remember to nurture your soul, nurture your spirit, come back to the spiritual aspect of your life and not just the materialistic, because with Jupiter and Taurus, these materialistic desires, these hedonistic desires can easily spiral out of control. And it's fascinating because when Jupiter ingresses into Taurus, it will meet the North Node a few weeks after. It conjoins June 1st, 2023. These are both points of expansion within astrology. North Node can be an energy that's obsessive, leads to gain, and Jupiter is an energy of expansiveness. So when the two get together, there can absolutely be the embracing of the light aspects that I've just chatted you through, as well as an expansion of the shadow side. So it could equally be a time in which people are frantic, hoarding supplies, being extra hedonistic, living for today without ensuring that the soil is sustainable for tomorrow, right? All of that shadow side, what I chatted you through Taurus energy, but it can also be this beautiful celebration of the beautiful side of Taurus. Like, Taurus is a very generous energy, and with Jupiter and Taurus, we're asking to contribute our goodwill towards humanity via our actions, via our resources, donating more so. And with Jupiter on North Node, it is a beautiful time to really feel spiritually and soulfully expanded through this process of making more resources available towards others, how we can, right? How we can. Sometimes the only resource that we have is time. That's still a resource to give towards others, or belongings, or anything of that nature. With Jupiter on North Node, I think it's going to be an expansion of generosity, of people wanting to give towards, because if you know Tauruses, their generosity is truly an art form. Also with Jupiter on North Node, there can be an expansion as it relates to money, as it relates to finances. There could be an expansion as it relates to enjoyment of life. So just staying open at that time around either the expansion of these themes in a beautiful way or in sort of a shadow side. Please excuse the brief interruption, but I wanted to highlight that right when Jupiter enters Taurus, it immediately nearly squares off with Pluto in Aquarius. Now, this is significant. And when it comes to Jupiter in Taurus, this speaks to slow, sustainable growth. And Pluto in Aquarius really speaks to rebirth, transformation in order to benefit humanity. And one manifestation of this is that the growth that we are craving and this move towards sustainability, this move towards simplicity and abundance for all of us to really enjoy our lives, these principles of Jupiter and Taurus, they might come through in a more Plutonian way. So really craving a rebirth, really craving transformation in order to benefit humanity. I also believe with Pluto, this is big exposing energy. And with Pluto squaring Jupiter, this is what I was talking about when I was saying it feels that financial institutions or things of the nature, there's this optimism around the topics or a masking of really what's going on beneath the surface. And I think with Jupiter and Taurus squaring off with Pluto, there can be an exposing of it, or just an exposing of banking institutions altogether, or just an exposing of financial institutions. Of course, other Taurus themes as well, food, things of that nature. But with the energy of Pluto, it really just asks Jupiter to get serious and get deep, right? And it really is plunging humanity to really look at the underbelly of all of that growth, of all of that inflation, of all of that greed, materialism, like the shadow side of the Jupiter in Taurus energy. So really when it comes to this aspect, the upside is that there is a strong call to transform. There is this strong call to be able to really par down our lives in order to slow the hectic pace of more in order to get down to what really matters. But just be aware around May 2023 and honestly onward for this sort of exposing of the shadow sides of Jupiter and Taurus. So now that we've explored Jupiter and Taurus collectively, let's take it sign by sign to understand what particularly within your chart and within your life is being expanded in this very Taurian way. Now I want to show you how you can find where Taurus lands within your birth chart. You have two options to do this. The first is if you are newer to astrology or you utilize whole sign house system. In that case, you will just look below. I've designated timestamps with a rising sign and a sun sign. I want you to find your sun sign timestamp and your rising sign timestamp. Listen to both, and those will be the themes that will play out throughout Jupiter and Taurus, May 2023 to May 2024. The next option is if you use Placidus like I do, you will want to see where exactly Taurus lands within your chart because it most likely will transit not just the houses of your rising sign and your sun sign, but potentially a couple of houses. So here's how you can find that. So firstly, you want to go to astro.com and find your circle chart. Look to the outer ring of symbols and find the green Taurus symbol. I'm circling it on screen. So I want you to find border to border where that expands through. So follow the inner ring and you'll see little numbers in the pizza. So we see within this example, Taurus expands through the second house and the third house. So in that case, I would listen to the second house reading and the third house reading to understand the full capacity of the blessings that Jupiter is giving me. Now for sun sign, you'll just go ahead and advance to whatever sun sign is listed. That's just for the rising one. You'll want to get specific on where exactly it's transiting. And just in case you're curious, I mentioned sun sign because I do use solar houses for longer transits, which is essentially a house system in which we drag the sun sign to the first house and the houses are set up from there. And in that case, I would just find your sun sign. You can get specific on your rising sign if you do like Placidus in the way that I just showed you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Jupiter and Taurus through the houses. If you are a Taurus sun, a Taurus rising, or Jupiter and Taurus will transit the first house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. So my love, I am so genuinely excited for you all. And you know why? That is because you guys have been harassed by Saturn. You guys have been harassed by the nodes. A lot of you guys have had Uranus aspects. Maybe even some of you had a Pluto transit. So you guys have been getting a lot of heat from a lot of different arenas. And a lot of you have really done a lot of work to transform your life and tap into new ways of expressing yourself, new ways of being, new ways of trusting your instincts, new ways of being independent. And it's almost like Jupiter in Taurus is your victory lap. It is your reward for all of the work that you have done. This is the time in which everything feels like it's coming up roses. Now, I'm not saying there won't be challenges ahead. There's always challenges. That's the purpose of being alive. But what I will say is that you have the right mindset and the right perspective to feel those challenges. And it's a time that you're less interested in what was, and you're more interested around what it is that you can make happen. You're looking towards the future through this lens of excitement and optimism around what could happen. I always tell my clients this, but I'm always like, when you're having a Jupiter aspect, I'm like, if you were the Midas of your life and everything that you touched turned to gold, what would you put energy towards? Like, that is the vibe when you're having Jupiter transit here. A lot of you, either from actual houses or solar houses, have had Jupiter transiting a very private portion of the chart, expanding your spirituality, the work that you've been doing in private. And now this is energy where a lot of the work, the deep diving that you've been doing is going to be more visible to the external world. I've seen a lot of people during this time, maybe they've been working on a project kind of like in secret and they take it out to the world. A lot of people, when Jupiter's in 12th house, have like a secret romance, and you can be taking that out into the world. Like, there's just a tilt towards visibility. Things that have been done in secret, you're ready to put out there in a very positive, abundant, optimistic way. First house is about identity. So with Jupiter in first house, you should be feeling very confident during this transit, sure of the person that you are and what it is that you're building, right? And a lot of you may find that you are extra inspired to dial in your aesthetic. Now, most of you guys are Tauruses, so you guys have the aesthetic thing down pat, but maybe with Jupiter and Taurus, just feeling yourself, feeling more confident, right? Maybe some of you are expanding your resources where you have more money to invest into your clothes, into your makeup, into feeling your best, into your skincare. I'm feeling for a lot of you, like you are in the mood to treat yourself well and put yourself out there. You're no longer interested in defending your limitations. You're in the mood to build your ambitions. Like, you are almost going into this energy where it's like, why not me? Why shouldn't I put myself out there, right? With Jupiter transiting here, you're going to notice you're more magnetic. People are looking to you as a leader. People are looking to you as somebody who can provide a bright spot within their world. You can find that you are extra magnetic during this time. You can find you're extra abundant during this time. And you really are in the mood to be seen, and to be seen in accordance to your true self. Because like I said, a lot of you have done a lot of work on yourself, and Jupiter and Taurus is the victory lap. It's like, hey, I've had my life disrupted. I've had all of these shifts happen. Now I know who I am, and I'm not in the mood to accept anything less than what I know I deserve. So I'm going to go out and get it. And when Jupiter's transiting here, you can find that you are feeling more independent. You're more inclined to want to be your own person. Now, I'm not saying everybody who has this will go through a breakup. But what I am saying is that if you have been in a relationship that you know you've outgrown and you've been kind of like waiting for that burst of confidence around, I can do things on my own, I could be my own person, this can oftentimes be a push towards that. A lot of you may be in the mood to positively expand your world. I'm seeing a lot of you guys traveling to eat delicious food randomly, or a lot of you studying something new. There's a new lease on life taking place. So some of you are going to find this new lease of life as it relates to schooling. Some of you are going to find this new lease on life as it relates to traveling. Some of you are going to find it as it relates to spirituality. There's just this energy. It's like new life energy. It's like, I just feel anew. It's like you guys have done a lot of work and now you're just like, now that I've seen some stuff, okay, I want the life that I deserve, right? And there's just something new infusing your perspective, my love. And I want you to dial into it. I do find a lot of people who have this, it's like, as I highlighted, Jupiter in 12th house is very spiritual. A lot of people put what it is that they've been working on in private out there when Jupiter crosses over into the first house. So you might have been really chiseling and refining the spiritual ability. And perhaps when Jupiter trines the first house, you're more likely to want to be seen as a spiritual resource. Also, just outside of spirituality, because Jupiter in Taurus is a very practical energy. Some of you with Jupiter in Taurus may be feeling more altruistic, wanting to fundraise for the causes that you hold dear, wanting to give your time and energy towards what it is that you want to hold dear. Truly, when it comes to this transit, the sky is the limit, and I'm so excited for you guys because you deserve every bit of this luck that is coming your way. The downside, a lot of you guys will be into makeup, fitness, you want to feel your best, right? But the thing about Jupiter is it can make us overindulgent. It is, since first house of physical appearance, it's very common that we gain weight when Jupiter transits the first house. And again, it's a human body. It's constantly going to fluctuate. There's nothing wrong with it. And I love it because typically I see this with my clients where it's like happy pounds. You know what I mean? Like, you have this new relationship, so you're eating ice cream really late at night, like you're living life. Like Jupiter makes us in the mood of wanting to live life. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just an energy. Jupiter expands what it touches. So just needed to highlight that. Also with Jupiter in this house, we can be a little bit less discerning than we typically are. Like a lot of you guys are Tauruses. You're very practical, you're very pragmatic. And with Jupiter kind of influencing you within this way, you can be like, ask questions later, enjoy the now, which again, ground down, right? Anything that seems too good to be true definitely is with Jupiter in Taurus and Saturn in Pisces. If you are Aries Sun, Aries rising, or you have Jupiter transiting the second house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. So you have a lot of wealth and blessings coming your way. Literally, I mean, we have Jupiter transiting the sign of money in your house of money. You can definitely expect more resources to come your way. How it is that you manage those resources is up to you, okay? I remember when this transit happened for me, the day Jupiter entered my second house, I got a raise. That was like a moment. I've had many of these moments where I was like, okay, whoa, astrology is really astrologying right now. But when it comes to Jupiter in Taurus, you can expect more money. The reason I'm saying it's important how you manage it is because Jupiter expands what it touches both directions. Money coming in, money going out. So you might start earning more money, but you can definitely start spending it and not see it at all. And be at the end of this transit and be like, girly girl, you said more money was coming in. And I was like, yeah, but you spent it all. Like, it's deeply important when it comes to extra resources that come in during this time that you have a system, because lifestyle inflation is so real with this transit where it's like, oh, I got this raise at work, so now I'm gonna get a nicer car, now I'm gonna get a nicer apartment, and I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. I really want you to have systems. Again, Taurus is about pragmatic patience. I want you to have systems in place to manage the resources that are coming in. So a lot of you will get a raise, get a promotion of some sort that leads to more resources. A lot of you will sell something that will lead to a profit, okay? Whether it is selling a possession or something of that nature, a generous profit can be coming in from that. If you work for yourself, you can debut a new product or new service or new offering that does lead to more resources coming in. Really, if you own your own business with Jupiter on Uranus, find technology that'll help you streamline the money that's coming in or streamline things that take a lot of energy from you. You know, some of the people who have this, I mean, some of you guys are going to become very wealthy throughout the course of this. If you can leverage this Uranus energy, okay, because Jupiter Uranus is most likely going to land within your second house, which is windfall energy or is a new invention energy that brings in a lot of resources, but you need to work with the Uranus energy. You need to spot opportunity. You need to embrace technology, right? Rather than fighting against it, you need to embrace it. If you own your own business, find new ways to innovate. If you work within a company, find ways to streamline your processes or ways to leverage your time and energy. Like with Jupiter Uranus, look for opportunity, particularly financially, because a lot of you guys are really going to spy ways that the technology can be leveraged more effectively or more efficiently in order to bring more resources to you. Like I said, watch the lifestyle inflation, but a lot of you are going to level up your possessions in some way during this time, and just ensure with Taurus energy that it is truly something that you value, truly it's in with your aesthetic, truly is grounded, you know, not just for show, not just for glitz, something that is both beautiful as well as functional with Jupiter in second house. A lot of you guys will be prioritizing that. Maybe some of you are refurnishing your bedroom or you're buying new possessions or something of that nature. And it's not just about stuff, right? Because we can't take it with us. But what I would encourage you to lean into during this time is really things that make you feel valued. I've shared this story before, so I apologize if you've heard it. But my vanity, you know, I spent money on it. It was something I didn't need necessarily, but when I tell you, I sit down every morning to do my makeup and my vanity, and I just feel so luxurious. I feel so beautiful, and that's like an energy that I just bring with me into the rest of the day, right? Little things like that, where it's like genuinely something that will add value into your life, right? Like, would you rather constantly buy something cheap over and over, or buy something quality that's fit to last? Like with Jupiter and Taurus, it's a time, again, slow, steady, not all at once, to kind of look around and be like, okay, are there more quality things that I can invest my money into, right? That might be a little bit more expensive as I begin, but will genuinely stand the test of time. And the real benefit of this energy is that you are valuing yourself, okay? Some of you will get new streams of income. You'll start earning more. You'll start making more. Some of you will start a new business with Jupiter Uranus in this house. But I think the real blessing of this transit for you is you're valuing yourself more. You're really seeing your own worth, and that's why the things in your life is improving. That's why the bank account is improving. You're understanding just how worthy you are of it, truly. If you are a Pisces sun, you are a Pisces rising, or you have Jupiter transiting the third house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And you are getting this beautiful expansion of your voice, okay? Taurus in astrology governs the throat, and third house is the house of communication. I think a lot of you are going to be really dialing in effective ways to communicate, and this is going to show out in a lot of different ways. If you have your own business, you can expect marketing and sales this time to go very, very well. As well as for those of you, I know a lot of you guys, okay, hear me out. Start the freaking podcast. Okay, your voice is going to be a major asset at this time, and it might take some work. Again, it's not overnight that you learn how to do it. Like, there is an art form to it, I'm sure, and it's not going to happen overnight. There definitely is an art form to podcasting, to learning to communicate, but this transit does promise, if you are slow and steady and intentional about your social media, your marketing, your sales efforts, everything's coming up roses within this arena. And really with Jupiter and Taurus, it can bring to more lucrative, essentially, deals. So definitely a really favorable time to invest in your communication, to invest in your skills to bolster your communication. A lot of you will take exciting courses during this time that will positively expand your worldview. A lot of you with Jupiter in third house will get a car. Random, you'll sell a car, random, but still cool, right? And really during this time, I want you to stay open to the wisdom that can come through from the people around you. If any of you, this will probably only be a message for like 1 or 2 people out there, but if any of you have had some like issues with neighbors, or you've been hoping for a better situation with neighbors, this should help, or having new neighbors that you genuinely connect to, something of that nature. With Jupiter in the third house, you are in the mood for small talk, and a lot of wisdom can be sourced from your own backyard, from your own neighborhood, right? There can be an enhanced enjoyment around walks around your neighborhood, the nature around your neighborhood. Again, you don't need to travel elsewhere to live a very beautiful, luxurious life, and this will really be a transit that will illuminate that to you. With Jupiter and Taurus, say yes. If you are learning, you are living. Learn new ways that you can make money with Jupiter in Taurus, learn new skill sets that you can leverage in order to make more money with it in Taurus, learn how to grow your own food with it in Taurus, learn how to manage your money better, whatever, Taurus theme, learn about it, okay? Like, I know it's kind of an intense time in the world, but with Jupiter transiting here, it's like, let's be curious. How can we work with things the way that they are right now in order to leverage the more positive results? I actually see a lot of you guys starting a garden. So if any of you have been waiting to start a podcast or start gardening, this is your sign, right? Maybe starting small, but again, with Jupiter and Taurus, showing up slowly and consistently and intentionally every single day. That can be a form of meditation, that can be a form of prayer. And when it comes to the social media piece, again, whether it's podcasting, YouTube, TikTok, whatever it is that you want to bucket energy towards, this isn't necessarily going to be overnight success. I won't lie to you. I do see success if you are slow and steady with it, but you're going to have to be intentional. You're going to have to allocate your time and energy, and you're going to have to show up. I've told this story before, but like literally when it comes to YouTube, I posted every single Friday for 2 people, literally, for a year. And no one was watching, but I was chiseling my skills and abilities, right? So that when more people are watching, I actually knew a thing or two about how to communicate and how to edit and all the things. And also, it was just a new momentum that I was building, you know, within myself. I worked it into my routine, and it's almost become this very sacred part of my routine that I know no matter what, every single week I show up, I film something, I post it. It just kind of provides my life this steadiness, right? Where when things started to go better and it was more than 3 people watching, it almost just felt like a natural sequence of events. Like it was already built into my routine, so it was just like, just extra onto it. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Now people are actually watching. I had already built it for myself and was chiseling it for myself. So all I want to say with the social media piece, show up. It won't happen overnight. Build it into your routine, allocate your time and energy, and you will get the results you want. Visualize the results you want.
Please excuse the brief interruption, but I did want to highlight, outside of podcasting and outside of social media, I want to let you know that this is a supportive time of utilizing your voice outside of just those mediums. So writers, this is a time to really integrate a way of being more intentional with committing to your writing, putting your writing out there, speaking it into existence, right? As well as if you've been feeling a urge to get better at public speaking, to really chisel your voice and your communication style, to put yourself out there more so around being less shy. I want you to know this is all so supported with Jupiter transiting this sector.
If you are an Aquarius sun, an Aquarius rising, or you have Jupiter transiting the 4th house, this reading is for you. So you are having this luck coming into essentially the foundational arena of your life, the roots of the tree, so to speak, in very Taurus earth signs speak. This is the most sacred arena of the chart. And when it comes to the blessings coming your way, it's going to come into these very sacred arenas of your life. You can expect a more steady energy as it relates to your emotions. Perhaps you're finding new ways to ground your emotions, and perhaps you're finding new tools that support your emotions positively, but there is this anchoring taking place into your emotional landscape that is essentially ricocheting into the rest of your chart. Like, this is the roots of the tree, right? Sick roots, dead tree. Your roots at this time, like what it is that you give yourself, your nurturing is going to be strong. You're dialing up your self-care. You're prioritizing yourself in new ways. And this is going to lead to incredible results in literally every single aspect of your life. Like, you can literally expect people to be like, what are you doing? You're glowing. You're so, happy, or what have you. And it's just like this energy around you are just generating ways to promote care and love for yourself and within yourself. Other arenas that you can feel. But I will say, in order to get there, I'm not saying it's like sudden joy. Jupiter is an expansion, so you could be feeling a lot, certainly. A lot of emotions can come to the surface, but again, there's like this grounded energy to be able to process them. And by the end of this transit, you should have this deep kind of like optimism as it relates to your joy of your life and really feel very well versed in the care and keeping of your soul. Some of you with Jupiter in 4th house can expand your family in some way. Perhaps you're healing relationships with your family. Some of you can be investigating your family tree, your lineage, your ancestry. Perhaps even some of you, I see like with Jupiter in this arena, going back to where your ancestors lived and having this really sacred visit there that really like supports your soul in some way. If you've been, fighting with your family, absolutely forgiveness can be possible during this time. Or for some of you, if it's been siphoning a lot of energy from you, we have to keep in mind Jupiter is freedom. So you can be craving freedom. Maybe that's how you're finding this nurturing the self-care, is you're like, I can't continue to nurture this arena of my life. Like, I need a pause from this relationship. That could be supportive here. A lot of you will be moving to a bigger house. A lot of you will be moving somewhere that is immersed in nature, has more nature around, has more trees around or whatever, or kind of something that promotes a more simple way of living. As I highlighted in the intro, I do see a lot of people might be like, living in farms or wanting to garden, and that would absolutely be a potential here. Developing a homestead, growing your own food or something of that nature. Or just some of you are moving to a new place, you're getting new roommates, you're healing relationship with past roommates. You should expect some improvements as it relates to your home environment. Some of you will redecorate. Taurus, this is an ideal time for renovations and redecorations. Taurus, has to do Taurus has to do with the aesthetic of things, so you could definitely redecorate in a way that's super beautiful, renovate your home to ensure it's a place that you genuinely feel valued, and really looking for ways to invest in your home, and not only investing in your physical home, but also investing in the home of your soul. Like really just investing in the arenas that make you feel nurtured and cared for from the inside out, because I'm telling you, that's where your magnetism is going to come from. The more you pour into yourself, the more like magnetic and abundant you will be, and a lot will be happening under the surface, but people won't necessarily be privy to that. They'll ask you how you did it, but seriously, look for opportunities to make your home environment more beautiful. Look for ways to make your connections more soulfully fulfilling. Look for ways to care for yourself in a deeper way. Prioritize your joy daily. Find joy within the simple things. These are all blessings of Jupiter transiting this arena. If you are a Capricorn sun, a Capricorn rising, or you have Jupiter transiting the 5th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. So you are getting this delicious sensual expansion into play and pleasure. And thank goodness, because I swear, Capricorns work too much, work too hard, and this is really a time to enjoy your life and all of the beautiful benefits of being alive. And there's a divine return to the simplicity of things. A lot of you are reconnecting with your inner child and just those little enjoyments of life that you've lost touch with, like little things like a cup of an ice cream cone on a hot day, going to the park. Like, it's so fun spending time with my little nephew because he's just excited about everything. He's so stoked on life. And so reconnecting to that, refinding that spark within you that's excited about life, excited about what is and what could be, right? And choosing to live more of your life in the moment, in the simplicity of it all, rather than constantly building the next chapter without even being present within this one, is a huge component of this transit. A lot of you may conceive during this time. It may take some time with the energy of Taurus, but a lot of you will. You can definitely expect improvements in your relationship with your children in some way. And whether you're physically conceiving a baby or you're conceiving a project, this can be a very creative time as well. I always think of this as like the house of birth, birthing things out into the world, whether it's a baby, a book, what have you. So with Jupiter transiting the 5th house, there can be a creative surge occurring at this time. And you can find that you are more inclined to want to put out beautiful things. And again, heart-centered things, things that you see the value in, and things that you enjoy the process of. Because, I see your Capricorn placement. Sometimes you can be concerned around, where is this getting me? Where am I going, right? And with Jupiter and Taurus, it's going to make you slow down and enjoy the process of writing this book, rather than feeling like, okay, I got to write this book and then publish it. Like, enjoy the process, enjoy the creation. People feel that on the receiving end. They feel the joy and the love and the affection that you put into a project. If you're rushing through things, just checking it off on the to-do list, this is a slowdown to enjoy the process of creating that album, that poetry book, whatever it is that you are working on. But But really, outside of creativity, there really is just a reignition as it relates to hobbies. I will say speculative affairs can go well, sports, gambling, all fifth house events. You didn't hear from me to get a lottery ticket, but around Jupiter, Uranus, if that beats up in your fifth house, that can be a supportive time. But really just feeling more lucky, and your joy is a self-fulfilling prophecy, okay? So really planting the seeds of the joy that you want to cultivate daily, the bliss you want to cultivate daily, the creativity you want to cultivate daily. And also fifth house is romance. So if you are single and open to romance, you can definitely expect a lot of suitors, a lot of people interested in you, a lot of flirty energy. This isn't the most stable house, but you can definitely expect a lot of dating energy, really getting to know yourself, meeting new people, connecting with new people to find out what it is that you value within relationships, as well as really enjoying all the Taurian, pleasures of the flesh, if you get what I'm saying with it in the fifth house. But all in all, a time to enjoy life, slow down, invest in your hobbies, and I'm talking to you, Capricorns, a hobby that doesn't make you money. I mean, it could, it is in Taurus, but I want you to really root down into the pure enjoyment of things. If it makes money, that's great, but I would really strive, if there is a hobby, if something that you value outside of its money-making potential, a beautiful time to expand that and just expand and reignite your lust for life. Now, hear me out, because will some of you go overboard as it relates to risk and fun and partying? Absolutely. That's what Jupiter does. It expands what it's going through. So some of you can definitely, not be as discerning as it comes to your love life or your party life. Like, you definitely are going to be out and about having some fun during this time. So just remember to ground down, mind the hedonistic quality of Taurus. If you are a Sagittarius sun, a Sagittarius rising, or you have Jupiter transiting the 6th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And when it comes to what in your life is expanding, this is the arena of your daily life, your routine. Some of you during this time are going to find that it's a really beautiful way to build self-worth through the act of building your routine. So some of you are going to find it enormously grounding to have certain disciplines that you connect to around. Every single morning I get up, I meditate, I drink green juice, or every single morning I go to the gym, or whatever it is that is just a way to kind of build that momentum and inertia that contributes a happy, healthy life. And really allowing every element of wellness, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, to be baked into your routine, which, like I said, the power of Jupiter and Taurus is momentum. So building that momentum to have these things that you enjoy, these pleasures of life, baked into your daily act of living. Now, when it comes to the 6th house, this is also the jobs that we work, like the work that we do. So with Jupiter in the 6th house, a lot of you may find employment during this time, a new job, maybe with that energy in Taurus, one that's more lucrative. Maybe you're freelancing more, you're taking something on the side. You can definitely expect to be extra busy at this time, okay? With Jupiter, hopefully it'll all be fulfilling tasks that are filling up your schedule, but definitely you can expect to be extra busy, extra needed. Some of you will get a pet during this time, one that's very grounding, who really encourages you to live within the moment, or you can just have lots of happy time with your pet of some sort. And when it comes to, health, if you've been struggling with a health issue, you can receive some inspiration around ways that you can ground down and support it. Maybe just a lot of you are just prioritizing your health overall. And I said this with Jupiter in the 1st house as well, but because you're more inclined to say yes to life, right? And with Jupiter and Taurus in the 6th, you might get more into cooking for yourself. You might get more into baking. It is common that sometimes you can, gain weight during this transit. A lot of times how it manifests is people getting more interested in health and exercise, perhaps something that you genuinely value that is a natural fit to your daily routine. So just an arena of your life to really spotlight and ground down and anchor into. Also, some of you, if you own your own business, you could hire somebody, someone that you value, someone who's able to help you grow your business. You can expect relationships with your coworkers to improve. You could meet a lot of new coworkers. Jupiter expands what it touches. So maybe some of you are going back to the office where you're surrounded by a lot of people as part of your daily life. And honestly, with Jupiter in the 6th house, you can have more work projects on your plate during this time. So maybe they're asking a lot of you, but really just striving to find the joy and the simplicity within your daily act of living. If you are a Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising, or you have Jupiter transiting the 7th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And where a lot of your blessings will be funneled through is other people, okay? I want you to focus less on, I want this job, and focus more so on, I want to work for this sort of person, because a lot of your blessings will be handed to you by the contacts that you are making. Interactions with the general public will go favorably for you at this time. You're more magnetic. People want to work with you. They want to collaborate with you. Shoot your shot as it relates to other people, particularly as it relates to things that you want to build with, as it relates to other people. To a romantic level, my single Scorpions or those who have Jupiter in the 7th house, you can absolutely meet somebody significant at this time. Jupiter expands what it touches, so you might have many people who are interested in committing to you and building with you at this time. You can absolutely go traveling with someone new, maybe meet someone while traveling. If you are in a relationship, you can definitely expect a renewed sense of optimism as it relates to the connection. You guys can reinvigorate your value for one another, maybe travel together, maybe on learning ways that you can really promote the health of the connection. There definitely is an energy where it's like you and your partner are just like, what could be possible for our world? Like, what is it that we can build and expand into? That won't be the story for everybody. It's important to mention when it comes to Jupiter, it's a very optimistic energy, and it also speaks to freedom. And so when Jupiter's in 7th house, a lot of times people can crave freedom at this time if there is a relationship that is not supporting your growth, if it is stagnating your growth. Like, to give more depth to an earlier metaphor of, planting seeds, think about a potted plant. Like, sometimes we just outgrow a pot. It's not that anything's wrong with the pot, it just was blocking our growth. And for some of you, there could have been a relationship that was blocking your growth in some arena. And with Jupiter in the 7th house, you can be feeling this call to expand your growth outside of the context of that relationship. That will not be everybody. I don't want you to panic that you will not be in a relationship by the end of this transit. But what I will say is that Jupiter will make it clear whether you're growing in the partnership or whether you guys are growing apart truly. And with Jupiter being a very optimistic energy, you can be feeling more optimistic as it relates to new partners, new mates. You absolutely, when it comes to Jupiter downsides, is I definitely would be cautious of grass is greener syndrome. Like, there might be somebody that you have your eye on and you want to get out of this relationship to go be a relationship with that person. Like, Jupiter, it's not the most practical energy always, and with Jupiter in Taurus, sometimes it can kind of trigger our greed as it relates to other people. Like, again, make sure that you're finished learning the lessons within this relationship before jumping to a new relationship, even if somebody else catches your eye, right? Just really important to mind grass is greener syndrome as it relates to your relationships. Contracts and business dealings should go well now. If you've been hoping for an alleviation of some contract, you've been wanting freedom from some contract, you absolutely can find that during that time. And again, invest in the people within your life. People in your life are going to bring you opportunities. People within your life are going to think of you as it relates to stuff. So tell people what it is that you are working on. Say, hey, I started this jewelry line. Like, your friend can connect you with someone else. Like, you can find word of mouth spreads like wildfire during this time, even though, Taurus isn't a fire, but literally it can grow your business in a very powerful way. So don't be shy. I know you're a little, mysterious, my Scorpio loves, but be open about what it is that you're working on, because people are going to bring you blessings. If you want a job, put it out there that you want a job. Just mention, hi, just let me know if you hear of anything. I'm looking for a place to live. I'm looking for a thing. People are going to bring you essentially opportunities, blessings. I always think of gifts from other people, opportunities from other people, like, those are gifts from God. It's just people as the vessel. So staying open, putting things out there, as well as if you work with the public in any way, like even if you work, front desk somewhere, you can just find your interactions with the public go better. If you own your own business, you can find that you are getting more sales from other people. Perhaps you are seeking really great advice during this time. Like, you're connecting with the right people to give you advice on your journey. As well as with Jupiter in 7th house, you could be the one to spell selling great advice as it relates to others. People want to work with you. They see you. You were like a magnet for people. So say yes to new opportunities, say yes to new connections, because the universe is wanting to bestow you blessings through your connections to others. If you are a Libra sun, a Libra rising, or you have Jupiter transiting the 8th house of your astrological natal chart, get ready for some blessings to rain upon you. But when I say they're going to be random, okay? It's important when we're talking about 8th house, it's other people's money. And it's so fascinating because I just had this transit and I'm letting you know, you will be extra magnetic and money will show up for you in the most random ways. So do not block your blessings by only expecting money to come through one way. Like, you know, you will get random gifts. You will get random inheritances. You will get random checks in the mail. Like, it's just like money will come to you in unusual ways outside of your typical job. So say yes. Be open to things such as commission, affiliate marketing, passive income, or anything kind of unusual that could bring in extra money, especially with it conjoining with Uranus. Very optimal time to seek advice on your financial affairs. Work with a financial planner, work with a financial advisor, work with a budget coach, whatever it is that you need to get a better relationship to your finances. Other people will be helpful for you now. Also, it is a favorable time to plan for retirement. Some of you will get life insurance. Let's be real, 8th house is death. Sorry to get morbid, but literally with Jupiter in Taurus, you could find that you're craving steadiness as it relates to these affairs. Maybe you're caretaking with somebody who is at the end of life and you're helping them with their affairs. But when it comes to Jupiter in Taurus, you might be more apt towards financial planning. And when I say just stay open to money coming to you randomly, as well as if you are married, your partner will start to earn more. They will get a boost in the income that they're bringing in. Just important that you two are managing the extra revenue that is coming in, okay? Because Jupiter is easy in, easy out. So while it could be a lucrative time, particularly as it comes to the money that you are getting from others, make sure that you have systems in place that you are able to really manage the extra money that's coming in, that you guys are not falling, victim to lifestyle creep where it's like, oh, we have more money, let's get a bigger house. And it just kind of snowballs until you don't even feel that extra money. Deeply important to be mindful of that. And really with Jupiter transiting the sector, you can really be going deep to really prioritize what really means something within your life. Like what it is that you genuinely value. Like what it is that you will value when you are on your last bed that you will ever sleep in, right? Like you might feel less of that materialistic energy that I said with Jupiter and Taurus. You might be really more likely to want to invest in things that genuinely make you feel something. And with Jupiter in 8th house, you absolutely can be sort of doing shadow work during this time in order to practically improve your life. Some of you will be releasing bad habits during this time. You'll be shedding. I feel a lot of you are going to get rid of a lot of stuff, whether it's emotional baggage, physical baggage. A lot of you are, yes, you're going through this transformational period, okay? And that's not just this. A lot of you guys are having the nodes in your sign. So you're going through a transformation and there's this energy with Jupiter transiting here where you're just like, I'm ready to let go of everything that is not serving me. Like whether it's even just like physical belongings, you're like, this was the past iteration of me. This is not who it is that I am now. For us to have more coming in, we need to create the space for it. So that stuff in your home, even just the stuff that you're clinging on to within your own soul, it's a time to let it go. And I find this does tend to be a very spiritual time because you're kind of trusting in the cycles of life, right? This is the house of death. So it's almost about surrendering into the mini deaths that we experience within this lifetime around renewing ourselves, rebirthing ourselves. And there just feels to be this lens that you're just in the mood to shed anything that is not serving, baggage from your past iteration, parts to your shadow self that you have not been contemplating. Do the deep inner work. Say yes to random money coming your way. I'm not kidding. You can benefit from legal proceedings. You can benefit from inheritances. You can benefit from random unexpected money. You can benefit from investment come-ups. You can benefit from favorable partnerships, favorable business decisions around merging. You can benefit from your partner making more money. Say yes, okay? Some of you are going to have to get more comfortable receiving from others. Like again, someone could want to support you, want to invest in your ideas, and some of you will have to kind of get out of your own way around feeling like, I want to do it myself. Because again, the universe sends people your way to support you. So say yes, be open to all the support that's coming your way. And for a lot of you, there's going to be a deepening in your relationship where you're really merging, you're really trusting, you're really fueling the us of the particular connection and going deep within the connection. So if you are a Virgo sun, if you are a Virgo rising, or you have Jupiter transiting the 9th house of your astrological natal chart, this message is for you. And your blessings, this Jupiter and Taurus transit is really around the expansion of your world view. A lot of you will be traveling, and it'll be traveling experiences to places that are very beautiful, very nature filled with this energy in Taurus. You could be eating delicious foods, learning about different cultures, and really just wanting to be immersed in the simple things elsewhere. Because I know a lot of you Virgos are busy bees, and it feels like you're going somewhere where there's a slower pace of life, and you are slowing down in regards to it. And it's going to help awaken a simpler, slower pace of life that you are going to bring with you back to the daily act of living, okay? So if you've been looking for a sign to book that trip, okay? And that won't be how it plays out for everybody. For some of you, you are going back to school. It's kind of fun when I look back on the last time this transit happened, which was 2011, 2012, and Jupiter was in my 9th house. That's exactly what I was doing. I was going to college. So it's kind of fun to see those literal ways that it manifests. But some of you are either going to higher education, you are going on a retreat, you are going into experiences to bolster your wisdom and your knowledge in a deeply valuable way. You can be investing in your education in a brand new way. Some of you are taking the seat of the learner. Some of you are taking the seat of the professor. So some of you might be called to arise as a spiritual leader during this time, be stepping into the role of a teacher. You can be sharing your wisdom with others that you have accumulated. You could be mentoring others as it relates to it. And also when it relates to Jupiter transiting this sector, your intuition is going to be on point, okay? Your spirituality is going to be super, super grounded with Jupiter and Taurus, but you're really going to trust the little nudges that come through. So seriously, to thine own self be true. Check in with your discernment during this time because it will be absolutely on point. Absolutely, it's a Venus ruled Jupiter in the 9th house. You could meet someone abroad while you are traveling perhaps. And some of you will find religion very grounding during this time. You're really wanting to connect to religion within your life. You're finding it very grounding. Maybe it's more so spirituality that's very grounding. Regardless, whichever avenue you choose, whether it's spirituality, religion, travel, the core thread is this. You are investing energy into your big picture worldview, your why, your mission, your faith. And so it's deeply important that you take yourself out of your comfort zone. You see some new sights, you study something new, you depart your daily active living in the ways that you've always done things, because you can find it's a deeply valuable investment during this time to invest of new ways of viewing this world, connecting with new people who are outside of your culture and outside of your daily life. Contemplate new religions or new spiritualities that just expand your worldview. This is not the time for practical reality. This is the time to really connect to something bigger and more divine and more awe-inspiring, and to really allow your intuition to be a steady force through it, because it will be on point during this time. And also with Jupiter in the 9th, a lot of you may be writing a book or publishing a book, okay? You're in the mood to wanting to share your wisdom, you're putting it out there, and it can be a very positive, prosperous time for you to do so. If you are a Leo sun, a Leo rising, or you have Jupiter transiting the 10th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You are going to be extra lucky as it relates to your career, as it relates to visibility and public persona. And this is something that is earned. Like, keep in mind, with Jupiter and Taurus, the slow, steady, and intentional actions that you have been taking are going to pay off in a big way, and you deserve it because, if you have Leo placements, you've kind of been put through the ringer. You've had harsh Saturn aspects. A lot of you have had harsh Uranus aspects. You've had bendings of the notes. You've been put through a lot of astrological challenges, and Jupiter in an angular house does bestow all sorts of blessings. And for you, particularly around career, you're finally reaping what it is that you have sown. So if there is something, a work project, a business that you have been a diligent steward for, you have been, minding your crops, this is a time in which you can finally receive the fruits of your labor, and it's going to feel very great. Again, it takes patience, it takes diligence, diligence, but your hard work is paying off at this time. And you will be seen more favorably as it relates to your industry. Definitely with Jupiter, Uranus, you can be a leader in your industry or do something that innovates the industry in some way. So definitely look at your industry through this lens of innovation, through this lens of a different way to do things, because some of you will really be able to excavate this divine new way to streamline or to innovate in some way. And with Jupiter transiting this sector, you have more eyes on you. It's easier to find visibility. It's easier to find press. People are noticing you. They're noticing your hard work. You are essentially finally getting rewarded for what it is that you have been working on. Now, if you're like, girl, I don't know what I've been working on. Some of you, you could be graduating at this time with Jupiter leaving the 9th, going into the 10th. You could be graduating, entering the workforce, which is, a rite of passage within itself. Some of you are going to enter a new workforce in which you are going to feel more valued. You're going to really build and cultivate something that feels very good for you. When it relates to Jupiter in the 10th house, if you are feeling stuck and stagnant, you're like, I have nowhere to grow within this industry, a lot of you are going to job change, and you're going to job change into an industry in which you feel more valued. Again, with Jupiter and Taurus, nothing worth having comes easy, and that's never been more true with Jupiter and Taurus. It takes slow, steady, intentional actions in order to get there, but I do believe you will be rewarded should you choose to leave an industry, because Jupiter is freedom. So you can find, if there's a job that is not serving, you can absolutely find that you're extra lucky and opportune in connecting with the right authority figures, bosses, and opportunities that will bring you to the career path of what you seek. Perhaps in a Taurus-like field, which would be food, which would be, botany, which would be sustainability, something like that. Maybe you're feeling inclined to want to build or to nurture within your life. And just being cautious, because with Jupiter, sometimes we can be over optimistic, things of that nature. So really with Jupiter and Taurus, see your industry practically, find ways to streamline, find ways to be seen favorably, and you will shine during this transit. It really is a time to look at your career path through this lens of growth, optimism. How is it that I can get to where it is that I want to go? And how can I water what it is that I deeply value, what I want for my legacy, day in and day out, in order to really reap the fruits of my labor. A lot of you may start a business during this time or receive increased success as it relates to a business that you've already started. A lot of you will get a promotion. Again, you're being seen, right? You're being seen, you're stepping into your leadership, you're really getting rewarded because of the hard work that you've done, and you are just so worthy of it, and I'm so excited for you. If you are a Cancer sun, a Cancer rising, or you have Jupiter transiting the 11th house, this reading is for you. And you are receiving this beautiful, delicious expansion as it relates to people, as it relates to community and large audiences. So there's a couple of different ways that this will take place. One being, if you are on social media, you can definitely expect your audience, your subscribers, your followers to expand during this time. It might take time. Jupiter and Taurus, you do have to be patient. You have to water the sprouts of your audience. You have to really cultivate that loving vibe there, but absolutely you can double, triple, whatever, the amount of people that you reach, the influence that you have. A lot of you are going to be really wanting to nurture your friendships during this time. So some of you can be connecting with new friends, perhaps people who are like-minded in some sense, who have the same visions of, the world, same faith as you in some way, or people whose ambitions are similar to yours. Absolutely making new friends, but also tending to the old, right? Like when it comes to friendships, we do need to really work that muscle around checking in, around reaching out to make a connection. Friendships aren't just made, right? They have to be nurtured and continually cared for. So with this energy, you can absolutely find that you are more apt to want to nurture your connections, as well as being open to meet more, make more friends, keep the old. One is silver, the other is gold. So that's very optimal as it comes to Jupiter and Taurus. If you are feeling stagnant in your friendship groups, this is a really optimal time to be open to new people. Like that saying I was saying earlier, make new friends, keep the old. It doesn't necessarily ring true if your old friends are toxic or don't see the future similarly to you, right? Like some of you might find freedom from past friendship groups that are no longer serving you. And it's almost like this energy of Jupiter where it doesn't feel like a falling out, just feels like, hey, we're growing apart and I want to be around people who make me feel excited, who make me feel like our values are united. And that is absolutely aligned. 11th house is also colleagues, it's friends who help us. So a lot of your blessings will come to you via your social network. I know you're a crab, Cancer the crab. This is the time to be a social butterfly, connect, network, go to those happy hours, because you are going to expand your networks, you're going to expand your audiences, and you're going to connect with all sorts of people who are going to promote blessings and bring opportunities into your life. And when it comes to this, truly, 11th house is hopes and dreams and fortune. So I'm not going to limit your luck. Like, you are more lucky when it comes to people. And I would say put things out there that you're working on, but really a lot of your dreams are going to come true during this time. I know that feels dramatic, but with Jupiter and Taurus, the dreams that you've been working on will finally show up for you. If you have been diligently trying to work on something, this is the time in which it will arrive. And if you haven't been working on it, this is the optimal time to work on it. 11th house is our future, our hopes, our dreams. And with Jupiter and Taurus, slowly and surely getting there. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take patience. It's going to take practicality. It's going to take precision, but you will get there during this time, and really just being diligent and really single-minded as it relates to what it is that you want. Again, we can't have all the things. Jupiter in Aries was all the things. We might need to kind of narrow our focus. We might not get every single hope and dream, but what it is that you value and put consistent energy towards can really blossom beautifully during this time. Now, I do see with Jupiter and Taurus in the 11th, you could be connecting with people who share your similar sentiments on sustainability on the planet. I see some of you might be, going into sustainability or gathering together with groups and communities around ways to benefit the planet outside of the planet components of Taurus. I also just see connecting with people that you feel like-minded, that you feel united with as it relates to humanitarian goals, your visions of the future. You're really wanting to build the future you want rather than wait on it, right? And that's important to chisel, because Jupiter and Taurus can be this complacent energy around, oh, I'll do it later. And if you're able to take things into your own hands, you can really connect with people who see the future as you do, who want the same future as you do, as well as really creating momentum towards creating change, right, during this time. If you are a Gemini sun, a Gemini rising, or you have Jupiter transiting the 12th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And this is really an expansion of this very secret portion of the chart. It's very private, and you are entering into a season of life in which you can find that time spent in solitude is not time wasted at all. In fact, you can find it deeply renewing. You can find it deeply clarifying. It's not to say it's going to be a lonely year. It can be a time in which the time you look inward is very soulfully nourishing, helps you build this really solid self-worth with the energy in Taurus, and you can find you're just more apt to really wanting to look inward and really wanting to process anything that up to this point maybe you had not yet prior. With Jupiter in this sector, typically you can unlock or connect to intuitive gifts that lie beneath the surface, because again, it's almost like this drawing inward. And it's interesting because you're, Geminis, typically the social butterfly, but you can find you're just less available, you're less accessible to the outside world, because you are craving this healing, this spiritual, soulful healing, to really look inward, to clarify certain ways that you've been, processing your life from the inside out that are no longer serving you, certain ways that you've been blocking your own blessings because you don't value yourself enough. You're really looking inward to find that sense of healing. It's going to reverberate in every single aspect of your life, but it's not necessarily visible to others. And I will say with this transit, people don't always understand it. They don't understand, why are you not hanging out with us? We used to always party on Fridays, and they don't have to get it. They'll get it when Jupiter crosses over the Ascendant, and it's almost like new life, more confident, I know who I am. But you can just find during this time, the time you spend inward in spirit, in solitude, is very, very renewing. A lot of you will get into meditation, you can get into yoga, anything that helps connect to your inner self is helpful. A lot of you will get into any sort of spiritual modality. Some of you, won't be a message for everybody, but some of you will unlock mediumship abilities, right? And some of you have always had intuitive abilities, but you have not valued them. And that's what Jupiter and Taurus is going to help you do, is like value, hey, I have all these wild dreams. Should I learn dream interpretation? And really value your dreams as prophetic insights, right? And so when it comes to Jupiter in 12th house, some of you are valuing your alone time enough to revoke access to it, right? Like I said, the road to our big yes is peppered with no's. And there's a lot baking within you at this time. It's not visible to others, but whether it's you're diving deep to work on a project. I have a lot of clients who write their thesis during this time, or they're working on a project, right? There's this intense pull inward, because after this 12th house transit, it goes into the first house, or it enters your sign, right? Is the next transit, Jupiter and Gemini. So it's like, this is like the preparation. I always think before the expansion, there's a contraction. Like for an arrow, we pull the arrow back before we launch it forward. And you're in that pull back time, which again, you're coming inward, you're clarifying, you're researching, you're working, you're healing. There's all these aspects of your life. Other people won't understand it. They'll get it when it's time for it to be out there, right? And I want you to grant yourself that opportunity to look inward, to deep dive, to clarify, to research all of these arenas. When it comes to Jupiter in the 12th house, I will say a potential downside is that you can be a little bit more escapist, and maybe you're using your senses, hedonistic tendencies with the energy in Taurus to escape, right? There's nothing wrong with the senses, enjoy it, but this is really a time for clarity. And I would deeply recommend to be mindful of anything that takes you away from reality, whether that's drinking or anything of that nature. Like again, you know, with Jupiter in Taurus, it's very inclined towards the senses, delicious wine, delicious food, but just being cautious around what you're numbing that from, or what you're using that to numb from, because this is such a powerful, illuminating time for spiritual development, for some of you, like for creative development. A lot's happening under the surface, a lot's happening in secret. You know, Jupiter in a Venus ruled sign, 12th house, some of you are going to enter a secret romance, or you might be reconnecting with someone that you're keeping secret, or you have connections that you're sort of keeping secret, you're not necessarily letting people into. And again, it's kind of a time to just let things be sacred, and that's okay. People don't need to know right now, right? There are other Jupiter transits in which a lot of our blessings come from telling people, this is a time, come inward, work on it, do that diligent work inward. There will be a time in which you're being called to expand it outward. So my loves, what are you looking forward to about this transit collectively, as well as for your sign? I would love to know below. I want to give another warm thank you to Cross Crow Books. Make sure to check out Star Magic by Sandra Kynes, as well as Your Star Sign by Per Hendrik Golva. I'll have the link below. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.